Hello, hello, welcome on our channel, another Saturday. Last week we've listened to Parable and Parabola. What a song it was. We had quite a lovely flow of thoughts. It was really philosophical, wasn't it?
Yeah, and after recording the video, we talked about those songs still a lot. And then there were comments, very interesting ones. It was great.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. As always, thank you so much for all the comments, for all the suggestions. Thank you so much for our Patreons. The link to our Patreonate page is under the video. As you know, in the chronological order, we have a next song, Ticks and Leches. But we've listened to the song already, so today is a big day. We are gonna listen to Lateralus. I heard the song is gonna melt my brain. What do you reckon?
I don't know about melting brain, but I think it will fascinate you, and it's a great song on so many different levels.
Lovely. I cannot wait. So yeah, let's just start.
You're all prepared?
Yes, of course I am.
Okay. So, Lateralus.
A lovely guitar. Tension is rising. Wow. So good. This is so good. So good, honestly. That was something. I would just listen to it again. Oh dear. So good. When I've listened to this song, it feels it could easily be more than one song. There was like, I could almost separate different parts within the song, so we're gonna have a proper chat now.
Yeah, I think so. There's just like the amount of things we can say about this, I think, is so broad. There's so many things.
Would you like to start today? I know you wanted to start.
Yeah, I still don't know what to start with, actually. So I think that's the mostly discussed Tool song out there in internet, especially because there is this mathematic theme around that. So you are familiar with the Fibonacci sequence, I'm sure, and I think many people already commented about this in our comment section. So I don't want to bore people, and you can Google this easily, but Fibonacci sequence is like a sequence of numbers that are generated by recursion, and by adding the two previous elements, you get the next one. So it's like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on and so forth. And this is like you can see those numbers being used in that song. So the rhythm, I don't know too much about rhythm as in music.
So in terms of the structure, yeah, that's how the song.
Yeah, even the syllabs in the song are like 1, 1. So if I open the lyrics, it's like at the beginning, black, then white are all I see in my infancy. So it's like 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah. So then it goes up to, I think, 13, and then goes back to 3 or something like that. So there is this theme of Fibonacci sequence around that song. So that's the first thing. And Fibonacci sequence is like very known thing that is, you can see it in the nature. So, for example, the plants, and they have their leaves, which follow, in many cases, the number of the Fibonacci sequence.
I was just about to say, I'm pretty sure I watched something on Discovery Channel about the brilliance of Fibonacci, that you can actually find it in the whole universe.
Yeah, rabbits reproduce as Fibonacci sequence, kind of. So 2 rabbits have like, I think, 3 rabbits, and then 3 rabbits will have 5 descendants, and so on and so on. It's a common theme in architecture as well. So there is this golden ratio, which is, I think, like a ratio of the next number to the previous number, with the better,
to keep the proportions.
Yeah, to keep the proportions. So like 13 divided by 5 is equal to something, but then another one divided by the previous one, it gets more and more accurate.
Okay.
The bigger the number is, and this like approaches that golden ratio, and this is used in many like they
in
build,
everything, basically.
in everything. Yeah, they build like churches around those proportions. So many times, like the top floor was with that proportion to the base floor, and so on and so forth. There's just so many examples.
Yeah, that's what I recall when I've watched something about this, the brilliance of the Fibonacci. Like you can literally try to explain the universe, and wherever you look, you find the connection to the Fibonacci, and I guess if you look long enough, you will find it everywhere ultimately.
And maybe not every. I mean,
but that was I think the main theme, that you can keep looking for it, and you finding it there.
I took some notes and just written down a couple of examples which are not that obvious. So, tree branches, for example. You know, when there's a tree, there's more and more branches.
Yeah.
And next, like seeds heads in like a sunflower, let's say, it looks like that spiral.
Actually.
Yeah, probably.
Obviously, some of them are missing, but would you reckon this would fit? Because they are getting like more squeeze at the top. Yeah, that's so random.
Yeah, there are better like illustration in internet because how the sun is affecting the plants. They cannot. So basically, that's interesting because if the fruits of the or leaves of the plant are following Fibonacci sequence, it actually optimizes the amount of sun each leaves get. So it's like optimum kind of
Almost
thing.
as a perfect structure.
Yeah, and then there's this golden spiral. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like we will attach the image on the video. Yeah. And then
let me just Google it in the meantime.
Like seashells follow that golden spiral. Galaxies in universe follow that as well. Hurricanes, the pattern of hurricanes follow this as well. Human faces, you can draw those.
Yes.
Spirals around human face, and even the whole human body is within those proportions of golden ratio as well. Things like fingers, human fingers, if you look at them, they are like they are within those proportions. DNA molecules, like it's really like infinite.
Yeah, but that's also the brilliance of the song, isn't it? I just really enjoyed the experience. It was, oh my god, it was so good. And like every part, I wouldn't probably after first listen pick up the actual Fibonacci and the way and the structure of it and the way he was singing, but I could definitely distinguish like kind of 3 parts that differed significantly, and I think that possibly different things can be expressed by these parts. So that's first thing I picked up upon 3 parts of the song, kind of completely different. It could be easily like 3 different songs as even, but her whole experience was so amazing. And that's extremely interesting as well, that the whole Fibonacci idea, because it's all surrounded by these mathematical ideas, by something that is drawn towards the universe, towards the explanation how the universe operates.
Yeah, and I think many people tried to extrapolate this pattern into many different things, and it seems like those things follow that pattern. So, like I mentioned before, all those examples of like plants and so on in the nature, like no one kind of like when rabbits reproduce, they don't think how many children they will have, right? They just follow this pattern. And now the question is, why do they follow this pattern? Yeah. One explanation could be this is like optimum. It makes things efficient, kind of, right? So there are actually like research papers online on that subject on. So I've been reading the research paper about, I think it was about architecture and using the rectangular, I don't remember exact names, it's not my area of expertise, but it was very interesting. Basically, in order to maximize the room's placement in the house or in the building, if you put them in a specific way that is following that Fibonacci sequence, it's actually called it's based on Fibonacci sequence, but if you place those buildings in a proper way, it maximizes the way how you move throughout the rooms, like the adjacent tiles kind of different rooms are maximized, and it's so interesting. There's so many informations about this in internet. I really encourage anyone to just go there and read about this. It's super interesting.
Yeah, it is extremely interesting, as the whole mathematics is. I was always jealous about people that are really good from mathematics, and I wish I was better in order to understand certain mathematical themes that I can't comprehend. So mathematics is being called the queen of all sciences. Even philosophy and really good philosophers who've been also pretty often mathematicians. they've been studying mathematics deeply in order to explain the nature of the universe, the nature of consciousness, the nature of the human beings. So like everything goes to mathematical structures.
Yeah, but isn't it because mathematics is just like a language that describes things, right? It's a language, so we can communicate with each other in a structured way in order to describe the reality, basically, to describe all the phenomena that we see. And so we can deduct things about reality, so we can predict things and describe them and so on and so on.
So that, that makes this song even better, honestly. The fact that this has been used here, it says a lot.
But then you have lyrics, and in the lyrics you have a verse like overthinking and overanalyzing separates the body from the mind and so on. And I've seen it for a couple of times as a trolling. So let's say your Tool, your Maynard and other guys, and they come up with the song that has so many like hidden things inside. And then, so...
maybe they're just trolling, but, I think even if it is a trolling, it is a really good trolling because it makes you think. It makes you think of those things, and it makes you think about bigger things, about bigger subjects and topics, about ethical topics, about metaphysics even. So it is, I think, even if it was trolling, like you said, or even if it was, a sarcastic way of, people overanalyzing stuff like I usually do, I think it is great. And I wish there was more trolling of this type, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe let's go back to the song now, because I feel like we went far from the actual song, but again, I think it's also
so easy.
Yes, and it is brilliant because the whole mathematical idea and the Fibonacci sequence, it's so extremely interesting. It's fascinating as well, and it makes you think about the universe. It does. Let's try to maybe link it a little bit with the song and try to see what the song tells us, because I definitely want to discuss the overanalyzing, overthinking part, which I was actually using. I used this a lot, and without even realizing that was part of the song as well, which is such a coincidence. But anyway, before we get there, there's much more that I wanted to kind of go through. So let's have a look. Black and white are all I see in my infancy. Red and yellow then came to be, reaching out to me, lets me see. And then we have...
So how do you understand those? How do you feel those first three verses?
So first three verses, it's kind of, I would think, the reference to... I think the infancy is the most important word. And it's kind of reference of... I don't know what yet. Something that refers to the state when you are really young, when you don't understand a lot of things.
So it's the beginning.
It is some beginning.
And there's not too many different things at the beginning. Black, then white. And that's all I see. But then there are next colors, and colors could mean something else. But
so at the very beginning, it's just you know nothing about the world, you know nothing about anything, and then as you grow in, you get in these different colors, which means different experiences, different things you see, different ideas that are being popped into your head from the outside. So that's why it's reaching out to me. So it can be some kind of explanation of the process of the development of the consciousness.
So that's interesting. You mentioned like from the outside. So at the beginning, you are just in the shell, kind of. And then you have to be exposed to the outside in order to grow. That's interesting.
Yes, that's also a fact. You have to. You won't be able to develop properly without it. But then it's red and yellow, so it's like two very contrasting colors as well. So you're getting all the good things, but also all the bad things. You can't always distinguish them.
But
sometimes
that's the same at the beginning. There are contrasting colors, black and white, black and white.
Yes, that's also true. So
that could also mean like good and evil. So at the beginning, there's just good and evil, and then you have things in between. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah, but that can be also right, yeah, because by, all those things that reaching out to you, again, these are not just, the natural experiences or what your mother is passing on to your parents or sisters, brothers. It's everything. So it's also some moral values. There is this ethical aspect, and that's what would fit to the black and white,
Okay.
good and bad. But then, as below, so above and beyond, I imagine, drawn beyond the lines of reason. That's something that made me think.
Push the envelope.
Push the envelope, watch it bend. What this may mean. This part really made me think as I was listening to the song. Then there was another part which kind of I focused on, but then he comes back to this part in the song as well.
Yeah.
So then I heard it again.
And what do you think this might be? I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Push the
really.
envelope. As below and above and beyond, I imagine, drawn beyond the lines of reason. But there is this reference, drawn below, beyond the lines of reason. So it's almost as if it's
Something.
attempt to describe, in really metaphorical way, the process of understanding, the process of looking for a meaning. Push the envelope, watch it bend. So try to push your own thinking. Try to go outside of your own scopes of understanding. Try to look from completely different perspective. Try to put yourself in other people's shoes for a moment.
Or maybe trust your intuition, maybe. Don't always rely just on a pure reason. Sometimes just push the envelope, just watch it bend. Trust your instincts.
Yeah, that's also really interesting. It can be it, or it can be that you may not be right. Try to not see through the prism of what you know, what has been reaching out to you, but try to stay open-minded maybe. And then you have this beautiful part. Oh, that was so good. Overthinking, overanalyzing, separates the body from the mind. That's again, for me, here comes again this process of developing your own consciousness as you're a child, up until I think I'm 3 years old. I'm not good at this, so I don't want to give but up until a certain age, you start actually being able to distinguish between bad and good,
okay,
according to the psychological theories and the researchers. So as a child, you take everything as it comes to you, but you can't really understand what is good and what is wrong. But maybe separates the body from the mind. That's this moment.
Okay, so for me, it's a little bit different. So you know how we think that children are much quicker to learn things than adults. And we believe it's because, among other things, to brain plasticity and things like that. But when you're a child and when something really interests you, you just play with the idea, you just play with it, you don't overthink, you don't overanalyze, you just do what you want to do because that genuinely interests you. And then that is when the growth happen. So children are learning that quickly because they don't overthink, they just do it. So this is what those verses remind me.
But that's also how great individuals happen. That's how you can discover some really, really great stuff that can change the whole humankind.
And also missing opportunities, withering my intuition, missing opportunities, because as an adult we are taught to be doing things in that and this only way, go to job, do this, do that. There are so many opportunities being missed, opportunities that otherwise, as a children, you would have because you just follow your guts.
Yes, that's also a very fair and valid point. So that would also fit here. What if it's both? Because again, as a child, you don't overthink, so you're doing stuff, and something great can come out of it. But if you're looking through this ethical prism and the good and bad, the ability to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, that's not something that you can do that easily at the initial stages of your life. You need to grow to a certain level. You need to have certain level of experiences, and your consciousness needs to be developed fully to actually understand, to be able to separate the body from the mind, to understand all of it.
But also, what is good and what is bad, I think it changes. It changes with time. It changes actually even, not even with time, even throughout different cultures and throughout different things. But also, when I'm looking at those verses, I see the spiral. Like, at the beginning, the spiral is small, then the spiral is bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more things inside the spiral. So it's always, even if you look at the history of humankind, or any history, it always follows the periods of like growth, and then followed by periods of something going down. And maybe this is something that is necessary, like yin and yang. You need to have both good and bad. You need to go up and down in cycles in order to, because this is just how it is. And I don't know, it reminds me about parable. Like
I was just about to say.
So parable was always with this mathematical in mind, mathematical thing, concept. And you could see in the song itself the mathematical, like geometrical shape, like how the song was structured.
Yes.
And this, I see the same here. So the next verse is again black then white, blah blah blah. But now
Not blah blah blah.
But now there are two more verses. There is so much more, and beckons me to look through to these infinite possibilities.
That's a really good observation. It really reminds the spiral, but also the spiral of, like you said, of the whole development of civilization, of the small development of individual, and we can go, and we can abstract further to the point that we have a universe at the end.
Yeah, and I think you can even take this to smaller level, to the level of individual learning new thing. So let's say you learn as a spiral. So you have to, like a children playing with something, you will be learning things, but you will fail many times. But and then you will do something correct. Sometimes you will fail, and then you will go back to this starting point, because to like use it in practice, for example. So you took like one spiral, one circle, and now when you do this again, there will be more, because you will see things you haven't seen before, because now you're more aware about other things, and the spiral keeps going and it's growing, and so on and so forth. So.
But that's something that actually bugs me here, because then he goes back to it. He goes back and then he says overthinking, overanalyzing.
Yeah, so overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind. Does it have to be necessarily wrong, though? Maybe that's a negative, which is necessary. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and you're right. Withering my intuition, leaving opportunities behind. So the spiral will grow despite of us, being in the spiral or no. It is just growing, getting bigger. There's more and more. But also, coming back to the Fibonacci, it's also in the perfect structure. So there is always this optimum that we can attempt to follow towards,
So like write the spiral. And I think this is in the lyrics as well. Is it?
But I think we come into another part that is quite distinct. Feed my will to feel this moment, urging me to cross the line, reaching out to embrace the random, reaching out to embrace whatever may come. So it's again like here, and you like you said, quite similar to. I have quite similar feelings that I had when I've been analyzing with you parable and parabola. So he's finally kind of starting to understand all of this and going with the flow, essentially. So he's trying to just embrace whatever may come. We will never be able to comprehend everything, all those possibilities that are around us. So we just need to try to embrace it, being thrown into it and let it go.
Yeah, like you need both unknown and known in order to grow. I think it's recurring theme from other songs, not even just from Tool, but in general. That's like an archetype of, I don't know how it's called, but you need to, what was it, like hero journey is like an archetype that about a person who takes the unknown voluntarily. You know that?
Probably from my primary school, or you would have to refer to it, we have to find it.
Yeah, I can't.
But I guess I feel the main idea of the archetypes. It can be some of it in it, But feed my will to feel this moment. That's also
exactly,
the line.
That's exactly what I mean with hero archetype. That you have to decide that you want to embrace the random, and random is like chaos. You have to embrace the chaos. You have to have a will to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only it will happen, but you need to want this to happen. It's like, again, with this children learning by play. You want to, because you're so interested in it, you want to just...
That's the thing, like, you want to, but you can't, you have to be fully aware of it, what is happening, that's what is happening in order to make this decision. That's where I have a problem with your analysis here, only because yes, children take it as it is, that it's so much easier to learn a child anything, but then at certain age they don't have this consciousness, this ability to distinguish from good and bad, from what they should learn and what perhaps they shouldn't, and shouldn't waste their energy on. What comes to my mind as well is I don't remember who did this, but there was the experiment, I think it was in the 60s, back in 60s, where they've put a small, I think 2 or 3 year old child with the small chimpanzee, because they wanted the chimpanzee to learn more human communication types. And what happened? They had to stop the experiment because the child started acting like a chimpanzee, not the other way around.
Okay.
So until you are actually aware, and that's what I feel like, that's what may be expressed somewhere in this song, that there is this moment of realization that it's all chaos. It's so hard to comprehend. Probably we will never be able to comprehend what is going on in the world, or maybe what's the start of universe, what's why I'm here now, why this is happening to me. But unless you have this understanding, you can't make the decision then to kind of embrace it, what's coming.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I think so. And I would say that's why there is this overthinking, overanalyzing part. Like, I think there need to be a balance. Like, he is saying overthinking, overanalyzing separates the body from the mind. But obviously, some amount of thinking and analyzing is necessary, but not too much. And this might be the same with what you're talking about. So we need this a little bit of chaos, but we need this a little bit of structure. We just need to find the balance to make a progress, I guess.
Yes, but then what if it's the fact that we are conscious, that the fact that we can think, overanalyze, and that we have this human unique mind, it's a burden as well. Now what I feel like, we have this Fibonacci, like you said, it can be found anywhere in the nature, up to the, universe structure of stars probably.
And in both ways, I think it can be found in like the smallest structures we know, like in atoms and so on.
And check this out, and all this kind of Fibonacci structure that is found aims to optimize things, to make them as perfect as they can be. And all the fauna and flora, right? All the animals are following it. We not always are following it because we have the mind, because we know it's there and we can choose not to follow it. So it is like a burden to us as well. And that's what the song maybe also kind of showing, the thinking process even.
In theory, we can choose not to follow it, but it seems to me like we follow it anyway. As a whole species, we follow it.
Generally speaking, but that's the thing. If you would have to believe that everything is determined from the outset. if that's what you would say.
Not necessarily, I think. I think I can believe
It's
in what
determinism then.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of determinism, of the full strong determinism. But I think it can be not defined as a determinism, and still we can, as humanity, follow this spiral. I don't think those are mutually exclusive things.
We may, but we don't have to.
Yeah.
And you're saying we do, but then when you think about demographic, and that the recent demographic surveys in many European countries, that we have such a demographic that in the X years there is a prediction that we just gonna disappear.
What do you mean we?
Sorry, I consider myself a European, but in certain European countries, the demographic went so bad because of individuals' choices not to have children, right?
Okay.
That there is prediction that in X years I don't think it is the case in the United Kingdom at the moment, but for example, in post-Soviet countries such as Poland, I believe Czech Republic, their countries, people originally from Poland, from Czech Republic, they gonna extinct. So it is like quite a horrible prediction.
Is it?
But
they are originally from Africa. Like everyone is originally, let's say, from Africa, but it's probably not 100% sure at this point. But like I don't see any.
Obviously, I'm not like ethnographist either, so I don't want to give some incorrect information here. But the main theme, what I want to take out from it is that if we were to optimize everything should be kind of optimized and go even as a whole nation.
I see what
and
you
then
mean
as
now,
a whole humankind. Maybe I gave the wrong example, but that's the thing. You're saying that it is some kind of determined and the whole humankind follows the Fibonacci, the optimum structure. But I wouldn't say that's the case, especially when we have our free will and when we have our consciousness.
Okay, but look at it a little bit differently, please. You look at the whole humanity, like without any ethnicity or anything like that. Let's say, I don't know, European ethnicity is just one branch in the tree. And
yes.
like maybe this branch needs to, it's finished because there's better branch now, and it's like new branch, and then there will be new 3 branches and so on and so forth. But as a whole, as a humanity, it's like not every part needs to be optimized in order for the whole thing to be optimized.
But how do you know that that's properly optimized then? How are you going to examine it? How do you know? Isn't it just your theory?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to say that we are doing optimal things. There's no way to say that. Exactly.
Whereas you can say it when you examine the small structures such as the plants.
I see what you mean. Okay. Yes, you can. Because you can even calculate like the amount of sun needed and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. And for some reason, we have been given, consciousness, free will, will in general, unless you are determinist and you don't believe in it. But the whole thinking process, it's extremely unique compared to plants and animals, right? So because of this, you can't really calculate or predict certain things in, mathematical way.
Yeah,
because we can make different choices, not necessarily.
Yeah, like person can actually commit suicide, which is like very paradoxical, I think, from the point of view, from the
mathematical
life, and even from the life point of view. Like it doesn't make sense for a person to commit suicide, kind of, right? But it happens, and it happens all the time.
Yeah, unfortunately, and it happens on a really great scale as well. So that's like something that is complete opposite to what you think is optimal in this mathematical sense of life, right? Because the mathematical sense of life is to, live the life and also reproduce, or it's a biological. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's such a broad discussion, because now I'm thinking about, I'm thinking a little bit in terms of like functions from the mathematical point of view, and there are. You can calculate you can examine the function, and let's say that we have a function that rises. Like if you look from the very far off, in the low resolution kind of, like from far off, you can see that the function rises infinitely, okay? But then you take magnifying glass and increasing the resolution and just looking at the part of the function. And in that part of the function rises, then goes down, and, you know,
it's not as easy as you would think it is. And again, it's
in general it can be rising all the time. If you look at like a time scale of 1,000 years, we can see clearly a progress of, let's say, humanity. Let's say human, like the population.
Of the humankind. Let's say, yeah.
But if you look at just like 10 years, you could see massive drops because of war, for example.
Yes, and that's why we have lack of this optimization. Eventually you can get and progress, but whether it was the optimal way, whether it is the best way to progress, whether you progressed in the best way you could be, you could have possibly progressed. That is the question, and that's what's highly unlikely in this whole vision.
Okay, I would just add, because this is getting like very theoretical.
I know.
Interesting, but theoretical. I would just add one thing, that optimizing can be, you can optimize something in a short term and in the long term, and the tools to do it, decisions you will will be different. So you can optimize, for example, it's hard for me to, let's say you have animal that is like wounded, and he knows, let's say, in quotes, he knows he will die soon. So he's trying more risky strategies in order to get as much food as possible right now, but he's risking being dead because he calculates that he's going to be dead soon anyway, things like that. And then you have other animal that is thinking long term, and he will use different strategies. So my point is, something might look not optimized at some scale, but at the bigger scale it could be optimized. But my last point is, in order, like, you have to know what do you want to optimize, because maybe population size isn't a good metric. Maybe better metric is whatever, like suicide rate or something.
But again, that's the thing. Like animals and plants, they don't have what we have, the unique mind, and they are being able to do it. They just go with the flow.
Or we don't know. Maybe they have. Maybe we just don't see it.
Yes, that's also, maybe we can't comprehend it. But that would come to the last part of the song, where with feet upon the ground, I lose myself between the sounds and open wide to stuck in it. I feel it move across my skin. I'm reaching up and reaching out. So it's like we thinking we get in somewhere, and then we are reaching out and up, but nothing comes out of it. So we just need to keep spiraling out and keep going. That's what is beautiful. Like, that's what the song evolved in us, this whole theoretical discussion as well. I
also think that what you quoted right now is a beautiful part of this song. Really, it's very moving. Like,
I mean, great. Honestly, like, every part of the song, every sentence is amazing and beautiful, and makes you think again. That I feel like this whole album will be my fave so far, because of the amount of thoughts we are having, and it's great, and I absolutely love that. Apologies if we went off the topic, if we've been too theoretical, but it's just what feels right here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we forgot ourselves a little bit in the previous conversation, but I just want to read you like 3 lines. I just look at those lines and I found them beautiful as well. Swing on the spiral of our divinity and still be a human. I mean, beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what I feel like? I just want to listen to this song again now. Feel free to join us. I don't think we're going to do it on the camera, rather off the camera. But I'm literally going to listen it one more time, because I really feel like I want to. It evolves so much in you, and it makes you think about... It makes me think about the meaning of life, about the meaning of the universe, about just simple meaning, how the meaning is structured. where's this mathematical formula? Unfortunately, I don't have a brain to have more sophisticated mathematical considerations.
But would you like there to be a formula for that, or would you prefer there wasn't?
I guess as a humankind, or at least some, very smart individuals in the humankind will be always aiming to understand where are we coming from, to understand the structure, to understand everything and the way, like, what is really going on in the universe. And I think we are, I don't want to use the word determinism, but I think it is determined in some way that we are always aiming towards it. So many smart people always wanted to discover it. Even, religion, what is the aim of religion is to kind of help people go through unknown, through the fact that they don't know what is going to happen after we die. So it's like everything aims towards understanding.
Okay.
Of the, the structure of the universe, the very start, the beginning of life. That's how I feel. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. Like, that's the given. That's the deterministic part, our goal.
Yeah, the deterministic goal. Yeah, maybe that's a nice way to put it. But basically, we are always aiming to understand it. To understand everything. So there's nothing that we don't know. We would always like to know, right? And yeah, with that thought, I think it's a good time to finish, because I really want to listen to it again.
But it's been great. I really enjoyed
It's been an amazing
that.
journey, and thank you so much as always for being with us. And see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.